Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Arrow Season 7, and they've released a Sizzle reel, which we usually get before the shows come back. But yeah, let's watch it right now before we jump into anything else.
I'm just here to do my time. Don't want any trouble. Keep my head down.
You're the Green Arrow. Wrong guy.
Avoid conflict. They're all afraid of you.
This is prison. You're playing by the wrong rules.
How's he holding up?
He's surviving.
Oliver asked us to carry on.
Longbow hunters are a direct connection to Diaz. They're the best lead we've had on him in months.
Argus is handling it.
Diaz took everything from me. My husband, my family, my life. I don't have anything to lose.
My days in the field were over the day Oliver went to prison.
Is that the Green Arrow? I don't know who the hell that is. We both know that new Green Arrow is not who you should be looking for.
We can tell you with 100% certainty that he is not Oliver Queen. This is someone new.
So wow, there's definitely a few things to go over from that Sizzle reel. So yeah, that's most likely containing stuff from like the first like 2 or 3 episodes. That's usually how they go. Maybe they stretch up to 5 episodes this time, some seasons. But I think this is like within the first 2, 3, maybe 4 episodes if we're going to stretch. But Arrow is back in exactly 1 week, so that's like the whole point of this Sizzle reel trailer. It's like basically to build hype, similar to the Flash one that came out on the weekend. That was like the first 2, like maybe 3 or 4 episodes as well. But yeah, so Arrow's back in exactly 1 week, so get hyped for that. But of course, do let me know in the comment section down below your favorite part from that Sizzle reel. There's a few different parts to choose from, which could have been your favorite part. But do let me know in the comment section down below which one was your favorite. And of course, drop a like on the video to show your support if you are hyped for Arrow and just enjoyed that Sizzle reel in general. But we open up with some similar stuff with Oliver in prison. Basically, all the trailers we've got for Arrow this season basically just, open with Oliver in prison, which makes sense, I guess. But that external shot of the prison, or, slab side maximum security prison, whatever it's called, not just, I'm not sure if it's just me, but that looked pretty sick, especially with the lightning coming down. I think the design of the prison looks really cool as well, so I'm a big fan of it. But we do hear Oliver talk about just wanting to, keep his head down and serve his time, hopefully, possibly get an early release due to good behavior. But I don't think this is an expert opinion coming in saying, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. But I'm just going to say that he might struggle in keeping out of trouble and, sticking to what he wants to do. So, it's prison. People are going to target him. Everyone knows he's the Green Arrow. I think he's definitely going to find himself in some trouble. But we do see Stanley again here, who will be like Oliver's little mate in prison, or at least for the first episode. God knows what's happened to Stanley. I think if you're a big warrior, then maybe, Stanley should be in your warrior books, because I don't really see Stanley surviving. But we'll see what happens with him. Now, we do see 2 versions of Stanley quickly. One who is like nice and clean, looks like he's just arrived in prison. And then another one who is all beaten up and bruised and sort of cut up. And the same goes with Oliver in that department as well. So obviously both of them have gotten into a scrap, if you want to call it. Now we do hear Stanley tell Oliver that all the other prisoners, presumably all of them, are afraid of Oliver. Which would make a lot of sense, especially if this is following maybe Oliver beating down on some noobs in prison. Obviously, we don't know the context of the scene, like where it's placed in the episode and stuff, but it could be after the shower scene, the one where we've seen Oliver beat up and just smash some guys pretty quickly, or it could even be after like another fight scene in prison where he's just absolutely smashed people, so people are just like, wow, scared of him, let's not go near him anymore. Now we do get some various shots of like Oliver versing the villains, or just like the villains in prison looking very menacing. And I do like how the shiv, or like shank from Bronze Tiger, like it sort of resembles the claws that he had outside of prison. Like obviously they're not like all these claws, but the way in which he swings it and stuff is very similar to how like the claws were on his hand and stuff like that when he was Bronze Tiger outside of prison. So I thought that was a pretty nice touch. But we do hear Brick tell Oliver, like, this is prison and you're playing by the wrong rules. Now, obviously it is hard to tell whether this is advice or a threat from Brick. It could be both, who knows? As we do know that Oliver is meant to team up with a villain whilst he is in prison, so you never know. Brick may have changed a bit in prison and could be the one that, you know, that Oliver is helped by. You would have to think he is definitely the more like stable-headed of those 3 returning villains. I don't see, you know, Derek Sampson and, you know, Bronze Tiger probably have a screw loose here and there. So I think Brick is the more, you know, the more one likely to help Oliver out. And we also know that he is sort of like the kingpin in prison in regards to the inmates. Like that's what they've said in like in interviews and stuff, that he is sort of like the top dog in prison, if you want to call it. So people don't tend to mess with him. And with Brick being gang related, as we know in the past, he could be the one to help Oliver with Diaz from the inside. Maybe he knows some connections outside. So you never know. Brick was a villain before, and maybe he could be a big asset for Oliver whilst he's in prison. But wow, we do learn some stuff here as we see Renee, Curtis, and Felicity with normal hair again. Important thing to note there. So, you know, she doesn't have the pink hair anymore, like we've seen the episode 1 trailers and promos. But those 3 are working together, but in like the dodgiest looking place ever in Star City. It doesn't look good, does it? But they are interrupted by none other than Diggle and some other Argus agents. Now, this is probably from episode 2 or 3. As I was saying before, these, you know, this sizzle reel probably contains footage from episodes, like up to episodes 3 or 4, roughly. You know, one of the two. But this footage here of Curtis, Renee, and Felicity being bombarded by Diggle and some Argus agents is probably from episode 2 or 3, one of those. As we do know that Felicity will be trying to locate Diaz herself in episode 2. So this is most likely her doing that with the help of Renee and Curtis, but seeing the Diggle is like, yo, sorry, but it's a no from me, dog, then Felicity will have to try out some other methods. But it will be interesting to see how Diggle gets himself back in with the team, if he is doing this to them, unless ultimately it comes down to him protecting them as he feels they are attempting something that's just, you know, too much for them and it could lead to them getting killed. But yeah, this is our first look at Curtis for this season. He's been like in none of the other promo stuff for some reason, I'm pretty sure. But in this trailer, we actually get a decent amount of him, which is pretty surprising. Maybe they had to catch up on like the lack of Curtis and the lack of just like explanation as to what he's doing this season. So they chucked a decent amount of it in this trailer. But what else could they be doing here in this, you know, this area? Like Curtis has some stuff built up, so maybe there could be some like Helix dynamic stuff going on here. Like we do see Curtis and Argus in the background of one shot though, when Diggle is speaking to Renee and Dinah. So who knows what Curtis is really up to this season. Maybe he's just tipping his toes into like various areas and places this season. So he's with Argus, he's doing his own stuff, and then he's working with Felicity as well. Who knows? But I thought it was random seeing Curtis in the background, unless this is like after it all and Curtis they've all teamed up or something. It's hard to tell from these trailers like where it's necessarily placed, but yeah, Curtis is in Argus working with them at one point. Now we do get our first look at Black Siren for this season, you know, outside of pretending to be Earth 1 Laurel. So this is her using her powers with Dinah Drake in the background also using her powers. Don't get the best look at Dinah Drake using them though. But then we see her with like all of Team Arrow, obviously excluding Oliver, but also including Diggle. And also Anatoly, who was looking worse for wear. But this is after an altercation with Diaz by the looks of it, as we do see him shooting at Renee. So I'm guessing, you know, Renee was just like, yo, Anatoly, you screwed me over last season. I'm going to hold you hostage and probably torture you. So that's most likely what's going on here. But we do see Renee wearing an FBI vest. So that must be what's going on with him this season. He must have been like working undercover for them most likely. And that is why in like previous trailers for this season, he was in like dangerous situations where it looked like he could have been undercover. Because he was doing like sort of like borderline vigilante work, but just as Renee Ramirez, like no mask or anything like that. But also in this shot with like, you know, Diaz shooting at Renee, you also see Samantha Watson. She's back this season. I'm not too sure for how long, but she will be in the opening parts of this season. But we also see 2 of the Longbow hunters in Red Dart and Kodiak. But, you know, you don't get the best look at them there, but we do get a better look at all 3 of the Longbow hunters straight after that with the addition of Silencer with Red Dart and Kodiak. And man, they look very good. Silencer and Red Dart look very comic accurate. Kodiak was always going to be a hard one to bring from page to screen, but I think they did a pretty sick job. I mean, in the comics, he is like a master of shields, and he has a pretty badass, like, nasty shield here. So I think they've done a really good job with the Longbow Hunters, and I'm very interested to see how big of a role they play this season, or if they are just going to be like sort of like side villains, I'm curious. I'm interested to see where they go. But yeah, just based off like a first look at the Longbow Hunters, I think they look pretty good. I think my favorite looking one is probably Red Dart, just because it looks very comic accurate. But yeah. But speaking of suits, we also do see Renee, I think, in the old Wild Dog suit. It might not be Renee, but the old Wild Dog suit from season 5 is there. So I don't know, could be Renee, or it could be maybe the person who's like pretending to be the Green Arrow, could be just pretending to be like these multiple vigilantes or something. Who knows? But the old Wild Dog suit is in this trailer briefly at one point with like the old mask as well. Now we do see William with the Hosen here. Now in the past, Oliver has used it as a sign of like reconnection or just connection in general. So he could be doing the same here with William. We'll have to find out in regards to that, I guess. But I can't exactly remember if Thea gave it back to Oliver, or if this could be something maybe involving Roy Harper possibly. We'll have to wait and find out. But yeah, I can't remember exactly if Thea gave it back to him, as she was the one that Oliver gave it to. So yeah, I'm a bit confused there. If anyone knows precisely what happened with the Hosen, let me know in the comments. But I can't remember specifically Thea giving it back to Oliver, but I might be wrong. We do see Curtis the businessman. Now obviously he was connected to a Blue Beetle sort of character in casting for this season due to audition scripts and just audition tapes. We don't know if that is still happening. You know, sometimes on these shows they'll, you know, in the casting process there'll be a certain character, but when it actually comes down to the show being filmed in May, they might cancel out a character completely because it just might not fit in anymore to what they want to do. If it is though, this could be connected if they're still doing the Blue Beetle thing. However, as I said, there could be some Helix Dynamics stuff going on, and this could be Curtis, you know, taking it as serious as we have seen so far in the show. So this could just be Curtis representing Helix Dynamics at some sort of thing, or it could just be him undercover. Who knows? As we did see the Longbow Hunters like opening a safe with like some stuff in it, so this could be the same area where Curtis was. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But then we finish off the trailer with more of that new or imposter Green Arrow, whatever you want to call them. But once again, we don't see Roy Harper in this trailer, and we know he is in these early episodes. So it's hard to tell whether the show is just messing with us and trying to make it obvious that Roy is this Green Arrow, or they are trying to play us into thinking he is this Green Arrow by not showing us any of him in these trailers, and then he's just, you know, in some other completely different role, and the Green Arrow or this imposter Green Arrow is another big surprise. I'm super confused, and I'm sure many of you are as well, and they're really messing with my head, and I don't appreciate it. But overall, I like these Sizzle Rails when they first come out, and I wasn't disappointed by this. I think this was sick. I think, you know, going into these, I've always said, I think the Comic-Con trailer for Arrow was the best Comic-Con trailer we got in regards to the TV side of things, and I think their Sizzle Reel was better than the Flashes. I'm going to be completely honest. So I am looking forward more to Arrow based off what we've seen in regards to promotional material than I am with the other shows. And, you know, a lot of people were worried about Oliver going into prison, but I think they've got enough stuff going on the outside as well as on the inside of prison to make it entertaining and arguably better than I think what we could have gotten if they wanted to try and do something else. So I'm liking the change that we're getting with Arrow this season, and just a bit refreshing, but also just looks like they're just going really hard out and trying to make it as good as they possibly can. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this Sizzle Reel. What was your favorite part of it? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later. Goodbye.